Hey there, it's Wayne D. Thanks for watching on the website, WayneD.com. This is Ozzie Newsome, Hall of Fame tight end for Cleveland Browns, now the semi-retired general manager for the Baltimore Ravens. So this is what we are presently working on. This is Ozzie's swing here on the left. And this is improving, but the pattern is still the same. So what happens in his swing now, Ozzie's got a replaced left hip. He's a big guy, huge shoulders, doesn't have much neck, long legs, and thus we're trying to figure out, what's the best type of setup posture for him. I tried to get his hands up a little higher, but he would push them way down, and what would happen is the club would stay a little more face down and way outside his hands. So having challenges in the upper trunk for range of motion and mobility, he would lift and the club would roll and flatten. So we're definitely trying to reduce the left forearm pronation there and the shoulder lift, because what would happen up here is we'll get the club a little bit laid off and then it will steepen. So you can see how once that club goes up here and gets flat, it will shift to steep, and then the club gets way out on the left arm, and now that the club is threatening to come from the outside, Ozzie's legs are not active, because if they were clearing harder over here, his tendency is always to pull hook it and hit it left. And another issue with Oz is his grip. He has a tendency to undo the right hand and then grab at the top. So the finger torquing is going this way, it's pushing the club over, and again it's going to get it steep, turn the face down, and then we get these blocks and pulls. Alright, so what I showed you here on the left, what we're trying to do, and we just keep looking at it because this is difficult, stubborn. I would put a tee in the ground about 1.5 feet behind the club head into the inside just a little bit, and try to get Oz to keep the club head a little bit lower. So I didn't have the tee on the ground here, but you can see he's getting better at not pushing the hands way down. I want him to, at address, get the left hand bent in a little bit more, a little stronger, and more extended left wrist. I want to get the toe a little more up here, and then what's really important is that we maintain this tilt in the shoulders and keep the club shaft coming up in between the arms. So as we get up into the middle, now this is a practice backswing, we're going to stop, but notice how the shaft is vertical slightly of the plane, and that's what we're looking for, because what we really want to do is get this up here, and when he starts forward we want to flatten the shaft a little bit and encourage the lower body to rotate and open up. So you can see, watch the grip. So the right hand's going to come apart and then re-grab. But once we get up into this better backswing position, even if it does a little bit of an odd movement here where his legs don't start forward quite right, watch how the club is going to stay more on plane. It doesn't shift to steeper, and when it comes down it's not way out on his left arm early. So this would encourage him to eventually to open up more so. So we're really working on getting this backswing to feel in, a little more in and up. So I wouldn't even mind it if the club head was a little bit more over on his hands, as long as we stayed down with the left shoulder and got the club pointed a little bit more up. The feeling is going to be to almost cross the line. Of course, we've never seen Ozzy cross the line before, and it's reasonable to think that if he tries to, it won't actually do that. So if we look at his face-on view, this is where you'll see how quiet his legs get. So that's working on that backswing. Now, when you look at a real swing of his left arm looks much more bent up. But when he does this, it looks much better. Now, this is the way he starts this down. So we were working on this after watching this video. So the idea was going to be, let's keep the left leg where it is, try to start more from underneath the right, and get the left to move more immediately over here without going that way. But as you'll see, the right leg really does not want to move. It's kind of locked into the ground. So we're working on trying to get the ankles to free up and roll. And again, when you have that, he's got that left hip replacement, it really is trying to tell. His brain is keeping him from opening up and putting pressure on that hip, and it can take it, but it's not getting there soon enough. So we keep working on that. So I set him up with a one of those tube things, and just had him trying to hit this impact bag with his lower body, just to get that feel. Right, so that's going to be a difference. And the thing is, if he doesn't have the club coming from far enough behind him, he is not going to be encouraged to do anything like this, because obviously it would just take the club more out to in. So there's no point in swinging left when your approach is steep and from a outside to in angle. So we got to get the club to come in from behind him, and that's why the downswing work in this case, while suggesting that the backswing might want to get better, it's really the backswing work that makes the downswing possible. But I always like to work in both, going back and then coming through, so that the puzzle is more complete, so to speak, in the mind. So when we try to connect the dots, there's a whole reason to get up where you want to, so you can get yourself motivated to do that. All right.